Alright, hello. Good evening, everyone. Time for us to continue the final case of Ace Attorney Investigations, Miles Edgeworth. Okay. Middle part 3. So, we're making some progress in the case, but there's still a lot of unanswered questions as well. So, what is this going to bring us? Agent Lang. Lang Z says, little cubs, never do they know the real fury of the elder wolves. These quotes are definitely becoming increasingly difficult to decipher. And what does that mean? It means that you'll never really know how angry I can get. Mr. Prosecutor, the counterfeit bills made with Bobbly's ink, they were all of Zheng Fa denominations. Yes, so I heard from Ms. Von Karma. But we don't know where the play money has gone. We must not have figured out that it was all burned yet. Ever since those things showed up in circulation, my country's economy's taken a big hit. Zheng Fa is in financial chaos as we speak. Because we can't tell the difference between our own bills and the fakes. But it's not just the money, the citizens are also worried. I stake the honor of the House of Lang on this, and have come to this land to capture the mastermind behind this whole mess. I investigated how the bills were made and how the ink was smuggled into Zheng Fa. You know, I do wonder though, if the counterfeit bills were that good that they were practically indistinguishable from the real ones, how did they even know they were counterfeited? There was a counterfeit operation going on in the first place. And I pursued the smuggling ring all the way here. But tonight, this is where the final chapter was written. Despite my frantic efforts to chase the smuggler down, someone got to him first. And now I'm called to return home without a single answer. Agent Lang, Don't start. It's not your fault. It's not anyone's fault, Mr. Prosecutor. Ambassador Alba, I'm sorry for all the trouble tonight. Oh, no. It is I who should apologize. It was all because I was not strong enough. If only I was able to think of a better solution. Quirkus, you fool! Curse your empty brain! You're being too hard on yourself, Ambassador. I take full responsibility for tonight. End of story. Sheena, let's go. Time to return to our den. Yes. I don't like to admit it, but there's not much else for us to do but go home as well. Agent... Oh, dick. You Wolfman and the secretary lady! Hold it! Objection, pal! Gumshoe doing the holding. And the finger point. Detective Gumshoe, have you got the analysis of the handwriting? Have you got the results of the handwriting analysis already? Yep. And that note was definitely written by Mr. Cogan, sir. Just as I thought. Good work, Detective. Okay. Hey, Mr. Prosecutor, how long do you intend to hold us up for? Sorry to have made you wait, but I believe that now that everyone is finally here. Agent Sheena, I'd like to ask you something if you don't mind. Yeah, are we suspecting her? how exactly did you fail to see the Yatagarasu when you were in the neighboring room to where Mr. Koken was killed? I'd like you to explain that to us. What? Hey, Mr. Prosecutor. What are you doing asking her about something she didn't see? Agent Lang hasn't touched the Babala investigation at all. So I suppose I'll need to explain a few things to him first. Mindless Edgeworth, I can't even begin to imagine what's going on in that head of yours. The only thing going on in my head is the pursuit of the truth. Oh? It sounds like you have some sort of plan. Very well, I'll supervise you until the end. Is she seriously gonna treat me as a subordinate for the rest of the day? You're not trying to pick a fight with my subordinate on some flimsy guess, are you? I'm not trying to pick a fight, and the evidence is hardly flimsy, as you will see. Sunglasses off in stereo. Ha! I should have known that you and I are destined to fight it out till the very end. It would appear that way. Well, I'll prove her innocence, so let's see what you got, Prosecutor Edgeworth. With pleasure. For my opening argument, I'll discuss the Yatagarasu that appeared in Babal, and establish exactly who it was that Kay saw. Agent Lang, I assume you've been briefed on Kay's testimony. You mean the suspicious person in a coat that she saw? That's right. That person is one of the keys to solving this case. The person who pretended to be the Yatagarasu. Pretended? What do you mean by that? I'll get to that in a second, but first I want to review what this person Kay saw and did. Kay, if you could please explain what the person you were chasing did for us. Okay, you got it. I first spotted the suspicious person near the open-air stage on the Babalese side. I called out to the person, but as soon as I did, that person ran off. I thought it was rather suspicious, so I immediately gave chase. For the sake of argument, let's call this suspicious person the Yatagarasu. Now, please tell us what happened when you chased the Yatagarasu up to the 3rd floor. Can do. I chased the Yatagarasu all the way up to the 3rd floor of the Babalese embassy. It was a pretty straight chase down the hallway until the sudden turn. She says chase, so did they know that they were being followed, essentially? The Yatagarasu disappeared around the corner, so I did my best to catch up. When I turned the corner, I saw the Yatagarasu run into Mr. Koken's office. I gave chase and ran into the room. But when I entered the room, it was pitch black. I couldn't see a thing. I felt something on the ground next to my foot, so I turned on the light. But then... Ah! Who's there? By the time I had turned on the lights, the Yatagarasu had disappeared. Kay entered the room, the person she was chasing was already gone. Why do you suppose that was, Agent Lang? What do you mean, why do you suppose? Isn't it obvious? The person slipped out through the door behind the girl under the cover of darkness. Sorry, but I know for a fact the person didn't escape through that door. Oh, and how do you know that with such certainty? That's easy. If the Yatagarasu had left through that door, they would have run right into this person. Yeah, because... Yeah, wouldn't Sheena have seen them? Take that! Your answer is Sheena. Yes, because let's consider what would have happened if the Yatagarasu had used the door. When Kay screamed upon discovering Mr. Kogan's body, the Yatagarasu would have run right into Agent Sheena, who was in the room the next room over. Ugh. Agent Sheena, would you mind telling us if you saw the suspicious person in question? No, I didn't see anyone. You see? Therefore, the Yatagarasu could not... It just means the creep slipped out before Sheena made it out into the hallway. I doubt that, as there was another person in that hallway, a certain detective. Detective Gumshoe, where were you exactly at that time? Me, sir? Well, when I heard Kay scream, I ran toward Mr. Kogan's office from the opposite direction of Agent Sheena, sir. Yeah, so they would have had nowhere to run. So, Agent Lang, can you explain how someone could have eluded both of them? Even you must concede that under these circumstances, the door was not a viable route. They must have gone through the hidden passage in the fireplace. Ugh! Way to go, Mr. Edgeworth. You nailed it with just an explanation of what happened. Yes. I've eliminated one of the possible escape routes from that room. But this is far from over. I need to make Agent Lang aware as well of yet another possible escape route the Yatagarasu could have taken. I get it, so that's what you're trying to show me. Hey, Mr. Prosecutor, let me guess. This is what you're trying to say, right? Because the door was not a viable escape route, then there must have been another way out. Precisely. Okay, so he doesn't know about the fireplace yet. Hey, Mr. Edgeworth, it's time to bust out with our revolving fireplace wall explanation, right? Seems that way. Oh, no, not quite yet. But why? I thought this would be the perfect time. The revolving wall on the Bobolese side is known only to 4 people. And if we use this information unwisely, the truth may escape us in the end. What's with all the whispering over there? Scared I'll figure out your tactics? Nothing of the sort, Agent Lang. Come, let's continue where we left off. That smug, haughty attitude of yours, you really rubbed me the wrong way, you know that? Well, no matter. I figured you out already anyway. The only other possible escape route besides the door is the room's lone window. From the... Yeah, but... I doubt they jumped out the window, because they were on the 3rd floor. And since an eerie picture of said escape route exists... Oh, but wait! Oh, that's right! Yeah! Are you saying that this photo captures the moment of the Yatagarasu's escape? I guess Detective Bad must have filled him in on this photo. I have to admit that at first I thought the window to be a possible escape route as well. However, I now know that to be impossible. Now, I realize you may not know this, but humans cannot fly. Of course I know that! It's bloody common sense. Besides, I never said that I thought the photo to be of the Yatagarasu's escape route. Suppose not. Alright, then explain yourself. The shadow in this photo is not the Yatagarasu that Kay was chasing after. Not so fast! There's only one language I really understand. The language of evidence. Very well, then. I present to you proof that the person Kay saw is not the same as the one in the photo. Oh, right, this was... The time is wrong.
Take that!
Let me explain to you precisely why the shadow in this photo is not the Yatagarasu Kay saw. Kay spotted the Yatagarasu heading for the 3rd floor during the 2nd fire. However, the photo in question was taken just after the 1st fire. Ugh! Yeah, way to go! That's twice you bit him in the butt now.
Not so fast!
We're not done yet. You still have to explain what that shadow is. And how the Yatagarasu escaped. I don't suppose you can answer both, can you? Regarding the photo, I admit that we don't understand what it means quite yet. As I thought. However, the Yatagarasu's escape route, now that I can answer. You can? Well then, Mr. Prosecutor, go on and enlighten me.
Hold it!
Even if I explain it, you'll try to find some flaw with what I have to say. You were busy heading up the Alabastian investigation, correct? In that case, I doubt you'd have much knowledge about the Babalese side of the case. So wouldn't it be best if the lead on that side, Agent Sheena, explained in my stead? Sheena is my subordinate. If I don't stick up for her, how can I look her in the eyes and call myself her boss? Lang, it's all right. I can take care of him. Sheena. You've shielded me a lot as my boss. But it's time for me to prove my worth. Alright, if you're okay with it, then you have my support. Finally, it's down to just Agent Sheena and myself. This is where the battle really begins. Now then, what is it you'd like to ask? Let's see. Why don't we start with your movements inside the Babalese embassy? During the first Babalese fire, I assisted in putting out the fire. During the second fire, I was searching for the Yatagarasu that had appeared in Babal. While I was searching, I heard a scream coming from the next room over. Although I was in the next room, I was unable to catch a glimpse of the Yatagarasu. be honest, I'm actually very skeptical that the girl's Yatagarasu even exists. And that is all I have to say. But I'm not lying when I say I saw the suspicious person run into Mr. Koken's office. Like I said earlier, I have no intention of retracting my testimony. Good. Just to confirm, did you have a partner when you were on your investigation? No, I moved alone. In that case, you have no one to corroborate your alibi. Is that correct?
Not so fast.
Are you calling her suspicious because she was in a room by herself? How pathetic. And it wasn't when Agent Sheena tried to arrest Kay under the same rationale? And how about when you accused Larry because he was the weapon's owner? Ugh. Not that it's unexpected for that useless lump to get into such a situation. Although, I suppose it's never a good idea to let mistakes go uncorrected. I'll make no excuse for what I did in that situation. Then you should apologize right now for making Kay out to be the killer, pal! I'm sorry. Sheena, apologize. I'm sorry. It's really okay. I mean, I'm not under suspicion anymore. Right, Mr. Edgeworth? Well, I never doubted you. Not for 1 second. And the same goes for me. I believe in Sheena. Then let's put that to the test and see if she really is really worthy of your trust. This promises to be interesting. During the first Bobley's fire, I assisted in putting out the fire. And the second I was searching for the Yatagarasu that appeared in Babal.
Hold it!
By the second fire, you mean the one that consumed the third floor of Babal, correct? Yes. That was when the suspicious person was spotted in Babal. Then you were after the same person in the long coat that I was after. There's no proof that the suspicious person was really the Yatagarasu. Because no one was able to get a good look at the person's face. By the way, how was your team's investigation? In order to extinguish the fire, water was pumped into the third floor via the windows. So the majority of the investigators conducted their searches on other floors. Maybe they did, but there was one other person who was wandering around lost on the third floor. When the fire was pretty much out, I moved to investigate the third floor. And you did that alone? Yes. Searching and heard a scream coming from the next room over. Although I was in the next room, I was unable to catch a glimpse of the Yatagarasu.
Hold it!
You were unable to catch even a glimpse, despite being in the next room. I really hate to repeat myself. I'm sorry for inconveniencing you. However, I simply wish to make sure that you're not misremembering something. We wouldn't want you to be accused of lying later on, would we? Hey, Mr. Prosecutor! Are you calling Sheena's testimony a lie? Agent Lang, I'm talking with Agent Sheena right now. So I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't interrupt us with superfluous comments. Aw, you know, I feel kind of bad for him. I understand his pain at watching one of his subordinates being accused. However, I cannot turn my eyes from the truth. Lang, I'm alright. And as for you, I think you should be focusing your doubts on that girl rather than me. And why is that?
Hold it!
Are you throwing Kay's words into doubt again? Well, she does claim to be the Yatagarasu, right? And she did try to chase down the Yatagarasu, despite being just an average citizen. Actually, she came here with the goal of capturing the fake Yatagarasu. That's right, which is why I would never lie about anything related to the Yatagarasu. And I suppose you have proof of that somewhere. Not quite, but even without any, I have people who believe in me, and that's enough. I see. Kay's testimony is without flaw, but as for yours, well, let's just say that I find your testimony to be a bit suspicious. There seems to be a very large flaw in her testimony. Oh? Then why don't you show her what we found out with Little Thief? I will, in due time. The escape route of the Yatagarasu that Kay was in pursuit of. If it turns out that it really does lead right to Agent Sheena, then what is it that she's keeping from us right now? I think I know where we're getting at with this. Let's see which one. Right, wouldn't she have seen him coming out of the...
Objection!
Wouldn't she have seen him coming out of the fireplace? Being in the room next to Mr. Koken's office is the problem with your testimony.
Not so fast!
Mr. Prosecutor, I don't see what problem you're talking about at all. Agent Lang, do you recall the secret we discovered about the Alabastian office fireplace? Huh? Oh, you mean how it connects the office with the room next door? What about it? Well, Alabasta is the only country with secret connecting fireplaces. The fireplace in Mr. Koken's office holds the exact same secret. What? The Yatagarasu didn't escape through the door to the room. Didn't escape through the door to the room or the window. The escape route was through the revolving fireplace wall and into the next room over. Now do you see? If the Yatagarasu had escaped into the room next door, then the thief would have run straight into Agent Sheena. Meaning that it's impossible for her to have missed the Yatagarasu. Ugh! What is the meaning of this, Miles? Well, would you care to explain, Agent Sheena? How you managed to completely miss the fleeing Yatagarasu, or shall I? Your claim that you were in the next room was a lie all along, wasn't it? The truth is, you were the one Kay saw in the coat. Pretending to be the Yatagarasu, and you were the one she chased after. As you tried to lose her, you ran into Mr. Koken's office and headed for the fireplace. Then, you shed your coat in the next room, leaving it there to emerge as Agent Sheena. Okay, I would have thought that would explain why she wasn't covered in ash. After that, you came back around to place Kay under arrest. Huh. So is she the killer then? And tried to frame Kay for it? Does that sound about right? If not, then speak now or forever hold your peace. How dare you make Kay look like the bad guy when you're the suspicious one, pal? Uh-oh. Oh, is she gonna freak out? Sheena? Uh-oh. Here we go. That... Oh, I know who this is. That... Yeah. I remember this irritating laugh. I'm getting chills down my spine. It can't be, but it has to be. Sheena, what's wrong with you? I'm sorry. It was so funny that I couldn't help but laugh. Funny, you say? Yes, that you would accuse me of being the Yatagarasu. The prosecutors of this country really are also very strange. Do you think you can get away with this by simply laughing it off? You think I'm taking things too lightly? I think not. It's that prosecutor who is. Look, everything you said earlier is nothing more than mere speculation. The Yatagarasu fled through the fireplace. Do you have any proof to back up your claim? If you don't, then you haven't proven a thing regarding the Yatagarasu's escape route. The tone of voice you're taking with me now has certainly changed. That's because it's been a while since I've had this much fun. I think I'll let loose, and then we can have a real battle of wits. For an agent of Interpol to show me the true power of mine, it is a great honor. Don't underestimate me. I'm not some foolish broad, you know. I know, and that is why I won't hold anything back, either, as I answer your question. My question? Here's your proof that the revolving fireplace wall in Babal was used recently. This was... Spilled Bobley's ink onto the back wall while burning files in the fireplace.
Take that!
I'm sorry, but is this really your honest answer to my question? Yes. According to Ambassador Poliano's testimony, he said that he was burning some documents in the fireplace with Mr. Koken. Oh? The ashes of what they burned were left in the fireplace. They should have been there. However, when we went to investigate the room, the ashes weren't there. Why is that a problem? Maybe someone cleaned them up.
Objection!
Unfortunately for you, Ambassador Poliano said that he forgot to. And so the question remains, why were the ashes missing? The answer is simple. When the Yatagarasu went through the fireplace wall, the ashes were pushed into the next room by the wall as well. the movement of the ashes that were in Mr. Koken's office is my proof. And there's that laugh again. And just what is so funny? Ash is proof. Are you even allowed to submit such flaky evidence in court? You still wish to fight us? Of course, why wouldn't I? In that case, let's hear your counter-argument. My counter-argument, huh? This really is just like being in court. Well, to me, we're simply continuing from where we left off all those years ago. I have no idea what you're talking about. It doesn't matter if we're at a crime scene or in court. Let's finish this here and now. I suppose. I've had a lot of fun today, but I grow weary of this game of cat and mouse. Let's make this the last testimony and wrap up this absurd case once and for all. Okay. In my eyes, all that you proved is that the rotating fireplace wall was used. But you can't really call that proof that the Yatagarasu used the fireplace, now can you? So then who was it that used the rotating wall? Show me your answer with real evidence. Remember, we've already finished our very thorough investigation. And we found not a single suspicious thing in Mr. Koken's office. And there you have it, my counter-argument. That's very impressive. She's seen through to the fact that I've yet to gather that one piece of evidence. What is it, Kay? I haven't heard a peep out of you in quite a while now. If you don't think you can handle it, feel free to leave the rest of it to us. But Kay, pull yourself together. You're the true heir to the Yatagarasu name, are you not? If you want to steal the truth, then you must never take your eyes off of it. Why does Kay look bigger than Edgy in this side-by-side? This chase you're running to catch the truth, you must see through to the very end. Mr. Edgeworth, you're right. I will see this through to the end. So, you go get her for me, Mr. Edgeworth. With pleasure. Looks like a lack of evidence has left you wide open, doesn't it? Sheena, please, show me you're someone I can trust. Don't worry, this will be the deciding match. You'll see. I'm truly sorry, Agent Lang, but I simply can't allow her to escape me again. Very well then, Agent Sheena. Shall we begin? I'm ready whenever you are. Examining the entire Bobley's embassy. Yes, the investigators who weren't allowed into Alabast were incredibly helpful. They all put in great efforts to search for any sign of the Yatagarasu.
Objection!
And yet, despite all that effort, it appears that they failed to notice the lack of ash in the office fireplace. Furthermore, you were the one who inspected the room next to Mr. Kogan's, correct? I didn't notice the ash there in the fireplace of that room, and for that I'm sorry. No need to apologize, Sheena. As your boss, your mistakes are my mistakes. So allow me to apologize for you. I'm sorry. You know, maybe this guy's not such a bad guy after all. He apologizes for his subordinate and everything. What a great boss. Are you saying that I don't do anything for my own subordinates? No, nothing of the sort, sir. You're someone I really respect, sir, even if you are a bit, too strict sometimes. That's only a problem on your end. Wow, way to be super hard on him in response. Am I really too strict on everyone? Anyway, Sheena, you didn't find anything in Mr. Kogan's office, right? That's right. We finished our investigation. What about the coat that they were supposedly wearing? We found not a single suspicious thing in Mr. Kogan's office.
Hold it!
So you really didn't find anything? Yes, as I said, not one suspicious thing. Although, as you already know, we did find the Yatagarasu's key and the document detailing the smuggling operation. But we still haven't found the blade that belongs to the Babali's knife handle yet. You see, my subordinates worked hard to investigate everything. So there was nothing else to find, alright? Wow, Agent Lang really sticks up for his people. Lang Z says, all men are brothers, and friends become family. So you see, my people are my family, and their families are my family too. That's a rather large family you have there. Yes, but as we all know, there's always one black sheep in the family. And although it pains me, Agent Lang, you will know the black sheep in your family. So, do you actually have any proof that the Yatagarasu used the fireplace passageway? No, I haven't found any yet. Then what are we gonna do? There's no need to worry. Because there is a loophole in this Interpol agent's argument we can exploit first. The one in charge of the Babali's investigation was not Agent Lang, which means that with Agent Sheena in charge, it's possible she may have tampered with the evidence. That piece of evidence that we found. If there's one thing I do know, it's that someone tried to hide it from us. Not a single suspicious thing. Length of wire that was found. Is this it?
Objection!
While you say that you and your agents have finished your thorough investigation, are you absolutely certain that you didn't overlook anything? Well, aren't we full of ourselves, standing there insulting Interpol agents? You'd better not be insinuating that my men are incompetent, Mr. Prosecutor. I'd never do that. However, it doesn't change the fact that they did overlook something. I'd like for you to take a look at this length of wire. And what exactly is this supposed to mean? A length of wire, so what about it? I'll tell you what. We found this in the Bobley's embassy not long ago. What? And we found it wound up inside the grandfather clock in Mr. Kogan's office. You found that at the scene of Mr. Kogan's murder? But this wire wasn't all we found. We found one other very important thing. There's more? In Mr. Kogan's office, there were signs that someone had burned counterfeit bills there. What in the... Ah! That evidence was something you found out through that girl's machine, right? So what if it was? Ah, that's what I thought. But unfortunately for you, a recreation made by a machine is hardly concrete proof. Among the ashes you found in the room, did you happen to find any counterfeit bills? No. You see? So there was nothing in that office. Nothing you can call evidence, anyway.
Objection!
I'm sorry, but I seem to have given you the wrong impression. How so? I don't recall saying that I was presenting evidence of any sort. But rather I was pointing out that your investigation was incomplete. And that this throws doubt on the purity of your investigation into the Yatagarasu. You still suspect me, I see. Alright then. I ask that you point out what part of my investigation is incomplete. The other Interpol agents worked under the command of Agent Sheena. And is it not possible that the reason the person K was chasing chose the third door was because the third floor was because that person knew there would be no other agents on that floor. Furthermore, we've come to see that Agent Sheena was only pretending to be investigating the Yatagarasu to the point of arresting K. In that case, there's one location that no one has yet to inspect. Your team's investigation was incomplete because they failed to inspect this location. The room that she was in.
Take that!
The location, Agent Sheena, is of course the room you claim to have examined. I believe the room next to Mr. Kogan's office warrants a thorough inspection. Even if you do that, I doubt you'll find anything of use to you there. I'll be the one to decide that. Detective Gumshoe. Yes, sir, I'm on it. I'll be right back after I check out that room next to the office. Hey, Mr. Edgeworth. Do you really think that Ms. Sheena's the Yatagarasu? Yes. My logic is sound. I believe she is. Then I'm not going to let her get away with ruining the name of the Yatagarasu. But can you prove she's the Yatagarasu is the question. If Detective Gumshoe can find what I'm hoping he'll find, then I should be able to. Just what are you hoping he'll find? Let's just say this. I had Detective Gumshoe do a little experiment for me earlier. An experiment? As if that detective has the brains for high science. It wasn't that mentally taxing. I had him use the same escape route as the Yatagarasu. And what did you find out by doing that? First, that it's possible for a person to fit through the revolving wall door. Second, that by going through there, his coat was covered in ash and Bobley's ink. Who cares what his coat was covered in? It's not worth that much anyway. Ah, but is it really worth so little? I believe that it's actually quite a meaningful result, the value of which I'm about to prove. Mr. Edgeworth, I found some things you really need to see, sir. Oh, so what are these things that you found? Some makeup, a coat, and a pair of shoes, sir. A coat, that was what I was That's what I was hoping he'd find. You found a coat? You hear that, Mr. Edgeworth? Maybe it's the one the person I was chasing was wearing. Yeah. Yes, the possibility does exist. Agent Shino, were these pieces of evidence not in that room when you examined it? Unfortunately for you, those aren't suspicious items of any sort. They all belong to me. They were getting in the way, so I stored them in that room. Ah. Yeah, but was the coat have anything on it? Thank you for bringing them to me. Saves me a trip. May I have them back now?
Hold it!
These items the detective brought back are incredibly significant. I request that we be allowed to examine them. They're my personal belongings. You have no right to touch them without my permission.
Objection!
I wish to examine them for the sake of the investigation. But if you wish to deny us access to them, Agent Lang, let's hear your opinion on this. I say let them look at your stuff, Sheena. Lang! Sheena, let's put it all out in the open. If you're really innocent, then you have nothing to worry about, right? I guess so. Alright, go ahead and examine whatever you'd like. After all, I have nothing to hide. We'll see about that. Good, now let us begin. So which of Agent Sheena's belongings you're gonna examine, sir? Ooh. Okay, the coat and the shoes. Too, because the shoes would also have ash on them. Let's examine the coat. Yes, sir. It appears you managed to stain your coat rather badly. Agent Sheena. The Yatagarasu the case saw was wearing a coat. And I'm beginning to wonder if this stain wasn't created when you went through the fireplace. No, you have it wrong. That soot probably got on my coat when I was helping the police put out the fire. Oh, so that's gonna be your excuse. What about this dark substance around the hem of your coat? It's that ink, isn't it? Oh, I didn't realize the hem was dirty. I'm sure it's just some water mixed with the soot from when I was helping with the fire. I don't think so. You think you can get away with such a transparent lie? Yeah, don't lie to us, pal! This is the same pattern of dirt that got on my coat when I went through the fireplace. Your words ring hollow in the absence of evidence, you know. So unless you can prove that the dirt on my coat is from the fireplace... Which I can. What? How? You did a great job, Detective Gumshoe. Me, sir? What did I do? This coat. This is exactly the piece of evidence I was searching for. I've been hoping to find the coat that the person Kay saw was wearing. And Thanks to you, we proved that going through the fireplace would sully a coat. I don't quite get what you're saying, but I'm happy for the praise, sir. All that remains is for us to show what the dark substance on the coat hem is. Oh, and do you think you can do that? Of course I can. This is the dark substance that coated the hem of this coat. The ink.
Take that!
Bobbly's ink? Yes, this is what will prove that the coat went through the fireplace. According to Ambassador Paliano, he burned some files in the fireplace this morning. You told us about that already, so I don't really see the point in mentioning it again. My point is that he spilled some ink on the back wall of the fireplace at that time. If the dark substance on this coat turns out to be Bobbly's ink, it would prove that you and this coat went through the revolving fireplace wall. Sorry to have clipped one of your wings, Yatagarasu, but we're not finished yet. But you have no way of proving whether or not this is Bobbly's ink on the coat hem. Oh, but I do, and I intend to show that it is ink in a few seconds. How? How, you ask? Well, since you don't seem to know, allow me to show you. This is how I'll prove the dark substance on the coat is Bobbly's ink. Burn it. Because, remember, it burns green. We can find out whether that's Bobbly's ink or not by lighting it on fire. That's how you're going to prove it's Bobbly's ink? Yes. If you could please cut a section of the dark stained area for me, I'd appreciate it. Because I will show you here and now what the dark substance is. Sheena, sorry to do this, but I'm gonna have to cut off a bit of your coat. Go ahead. I wasn't planning to wear it anymore anyway. Now then, if someone could loan me a lighter or something. Oh, I got some matches. I always carry them with me so I can light smoke bombs. Then if I could please have one, Kay, we can get this experiment underway. Yep. The flame. It's the same color as the flame's white crystal oil produces, which means Bobbly's ink is a product of white crystal oil. And when lit, the ink produces a green flame. I believe the time has come to clip the Yatagarasu's other wing. Sheena, you're the fake Yatagarasu. The one who killed my father. It's about time you came clean, Agent Sheena. Or should I say, Callisto you. Hey, Mr. Prosecutor, you're not serious, are you? So it was her the entire time? Do I look like the joking type to you? Callisto you? I've never heard that name before in my life. That manner of speaking, and that attitude, you haven't changed a bit in 7 years. You're the defense attorney that killed Mr. Faraday, and then tried to frame me for it. Oh really? And you have proof? You insist that I'm this Callisto you woman, but you can't prove it. If you have no proof, then I'm afraid you won't be able to lay a single finger on me.
Objection!
The raven is a very unique bird, one that flies by the darkness of night. However, the light of dawn has arrived, and it will reveal your true, ugly form to the world. Ooh. Enough poetry. I want to see some evidence. Do you really have something that can prove that she's Callisto you? I do. It's something the second Yatagarasu has preserved for us these last 7 years. Do me the honor, Mr. Edgeworth. I will, Kay, for we finally come to the end. We'll prove her to be Callisto U with this, and clip this Yatagarasu's wings for good. Her perfume.
Take that!
This perfume. This will prove you to be Callisto U. It will. Kay has preserved it perfectly for us. Surely you remember this bottle. This belonged to Ms. Yu just before she disappeared 7 years ago. Naturally, this means that a few of her fingerprints are on here as well. This is that bottle of perfume you spilled, which I've preserved ever since. Oh, so if we match the fingerprints on that bottle with hers... I heard from my father, Baron Faraday, that if stored under the right conditions, a fingerprint can be preserved for decades. Which means that your fingerprints are still on here, every last one. We can clear everything up if we were to compare the prints on this to your own. Now come, Agent Sheena. Will you submit yourself to a fingerprint test? Oh, holy shit! Holy shit, now you turn freaking maniacal. Okay, that's a little creepy. It looks like you've seen right through me yet again. You're sending the biggest chill down my spine, Edgeworth. Callisto U. So you've shown your true face at last. This feeling of thrill is even greater than that time 7 years ago. Sheena, you're... Lang, I really enjoyed our days together. You're an insanely strong, nice, kind-hearted idiot of a man. So you were a spy all along. A mole sent by the smuggling ring I've been chasing after. Ah. Someone who's been feeding them intel on Interpol all this time. Very good. Maybe you're not as big of an idiot as I thought. Callisto U, the woman who killed my father 7 years ago. You're her, aren't you? The fake Yatagarasu. That's right. Callisto U, that's just one of my many names. But even that's just a facade. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am the great thief Yatagarasu. Callisto U, this time you won't escape, for this is the end of the road for you. Now come along quietly. You know, you're the one who left the strongest impression on me, Kay Faraday. And had you not used the Yatagarasu's gadgets, I might have never known who you were. But here you are, being a thorn in my side, just like your father always was. Oh. Kay, don't. You. I'll never forgive you for what you did to my father. You really are just like him. Mr. Faraday, too, possessed such laughable honesty. Oh, shit. Kay! You let Kay go right now, pal! You despicable! Let go of me, you filthy... You think I'm a fake, don't you? Well, unfortunately for you, I'm the real Yatagarasu. That's impossible. My father was the one who created Little Thief. Hey, Edgeworth. The Yatagarasu has 3 legs. Do you know why that is? why it has 3 legs. There are 3 main reasons the Yatagarasu will always be one step ahead. First, the Yatagarasu always knows the exact location of the target object. Second, the Yatagarasu always knows exactly how to disarm the security system. No, it can't be. Did you finally figure it out? Do you finally know the real identity of the Yatagarasu? The real identity of Yatagarasu is... The real identity of the Yatagarasu is neither Burn Faraday nor Callisto U. But by the same token, they are also both the real Yatagarasu. So it's not just one person. How very perceptive of you. No way! The single person known as the Great Thief Yatagarasu never existed. Mr. Edgeworth, No, I refuse to believe this. The Yatagarasu is known to have 3 special skills. Skill number 1. The Yatagarasu always knows the exact location of the target object. And a lawyer would have the opportunity to learn the layout of client corporations. Skill number 2. The Yatagarasu always knows exactly how to disarm the security system. And a good prosecutor would be well versed in the ways of a criminal. And skill number 3. The Yatagarasu doesn't leave a single shred of evidence behind. Ever. Oh. Detective Bad! It's only natural for the Yatagarasu to never leave evidence behind. Because the lead detective on the case hid it all away. Oh. You're the 3rd member of the Yatagarasu? You. I've been looking for you for a long time. 7 long years. But I finally got you. Why, Mr. Bad, long time no see. So the 3 of them, all 3 of them together, yeah, I guess that makes sense. The 3 legs. Until you apparently betrayed them. What happened to us? We used to be such a great team. If you're such a great team, then why did you kill my father 7 years ago? Why indeed? It was nothing personal, really. He was just another person I had to kill. How can you say that? I grow weary of this. It's about time for everything to come to an end. And this time, I won't miss. Stop! You! Kay! It's over, Sheena. Huh? Your leg! Huh? Oh. Agent Lang! You idiot! What were you thinking jumping in front of my gun like that? What are you risking your life for? Sorry, Detective Bad, but no matter what sort of past she may have had, or even if she's a spy, it doesn't change the fact that she's my subordinate. And as long as she is, I can't allow any harm to come to her, not even from you. Oh, I see. You really are an idiot, you know that. That's fine with me. You should know by now that this is just how I am. Hey, sis. Yes? I want you to conduct a full-body search. Sheena might have another weapon on her. Alright. Detective Gumshoe, your assistance, please. Sir! Hey, I found something. Oh, one of the... What's this, sir? Looks like the blade of a knife, but it doesn't have a handle. It's one of those... It's one of the interchangeable ones. This is a great find, Detective. Huh? It is, sir? Let's try pairing up this blade with this handle.
Take that!
I believe this blade actually belongs with the handle that was on the murder weapon. Hey, they fit together perfectly! Yeah, it makes sense that she must have swapped the, that she swapped the knives. This blade must have been taken from the crime scene when the knife handles were switched. I'm gonna go return this Bob Lee's knife now. Alright. I trust that you'll make sure it's returned to Ambassador Paleno. I believe this makes it perfectly clear who did it. Callisto Yu. For the only time the handles could have been switched is just after Mr. Koken's murder. Which means you must be Mr. Koken's killer. You killed Mr. Koken with the Alabastian knife. Switched the handles, and then took the original blade of the Bob Lee's knife with you. Later, you allowed yourself to be spotted by Kay near the open-air stage. You used the fireplace to lose her, and then you went back to accuse her of the murder. Doesn't that about sum it up?
Objection!
Oh. You craft an engaging tale, Edgeworth, but there are two problems with it. Problems? In what respect? Why do you think my real reason was in allowing her to chase after me? It was also I could capture Kay Faraday. What? When I saw you using that device at Gatewaterland, I knew right away that you were Byrne Faraday's daughter. I became curious, so I researched a little into your background. That's how I found out that you were on the trail of the Yatagarasu. So that's why you tried to pin Mr. Koken's murder on me. Yes, I knew you would show up at this embassy tonight. Which is why she advertised that the Yatagarasu is gonna be here. So I thought I could use you, but pinning the murder on you wasn't my only goal. You had another? Yes. Once I had you under arrest, I had planned to search you, and take back the device that rightfully belongs to me, the true Yatagarasu. You were gonna take little thief away from me? 7 years ago, it was thanks to that device that Faraday was able to infiltrate this place. But he stole more than he should have. I had a tough time recovering that precious key. Then the person who stole the Yatagarasu's key was Mr. Faraday. You. That incident 7 years ago. What was the catalyst behind it? In the eyes of the smuggling ring, the Yatagarasu is becoming a bit of a problem. It wasn't an especially pleasant assignment. Then why? Why'd you become a member of the Yatagarasu? Why? There is no why. I was destined to betray everyone from the very beginning. So she is a member of the smuggling ring as well, then. From the beginning? What's that supposed to mean? The person I take orders from hasn't changed, even now to this day. Does this mean that the leader of the smuggling ring wasn't Mr. Kogan? Then the real ringleader is still out there pulling the strings. Are you done asking what you need to know? Because if so, we should probably get going. And you're gonna tell me everything you did tonight. Do you understand, Sheena? I guess I should tell you then, that I was the one who set the Babalese embassy on fire. And why did you do that? I suppose it was to destroy all evidence of the counterfeit bills. That was what the smuggling ring was trying to do? But then why start two fires? Sorry, but I can't tell you anything about the ring. It's your job to complete your investigation, after all. I've had my fun. Now it's your turn to enjoy the ride. Wait, I mean, Miss Sheena. Yes? When I fell to the floor earlier, these fell at my feet. What about them? They're such pretty hair sticks that I thought, well, I should return them to you. You can have them. They're of no use to me anymore. If you don't want them, you can always just throw them away. No, I want to keep them. Suit yourself. Oh, that's right. I almost forgot, Edgeworth. About the second problem I had with your story. I didn't kill anyone tonight. What? What? You're not the... You're not the killer? I'm not saying that as a sore loser. Think of it as a hint, if you will. Mr. Prosecutor. Yes, Agent Lang? Mark my words, I'm not done here, and I'll be back. It's got nothing to do with duty or anything, because this has become my personal case. I may have been shot, but I'll show you just how dangerous a wounded wolf can be. His anger appears to have negated the sensation of pain in his injured leg. It's finally over, Kay. I feel like I peered into her heart a little, you know? And it's so cold and dark, and incredibly lonely. The person who is giving her all these commands, the one who thought my father was a problem to be removed, that person is the real ringleader behind the smuggling ring. Mr. Edgeworth, I have a favor to ask. Can you hold on to these hair sticks for me? They're really pretty, just like the ones they were selling for the Jammin' Ninja show. But until this case is over, I don't think I can look at them without being overcome. I understand. I'll take good care of them for you. There's a bit of soil stuck on the ends of these sticks. Yeah, looks like there's something on them. I guess it's that time already, huh? So it's midnight, the dawn of another day. Hey, Pops, thanks a bunch. You've really done a lot for everyone all these years. Detective Bad, don't tell me today is the day. Yeah, it is. With this, I can retire in peace. It's down to the wire, and we almost didn't make it. But we did it. We solved everything. But that's just it. We haven't solved everything yet. The ringleader of the smuggling ring, you, the Yatagarasu, are chasing after. legend of that Yatagarasu is now over. Mr. Edgeworth, that bit of logic earlier was brilliant. I feel like I can leave it all in your hands. I'm counting on you. Is it really true, Uncle Bad? Were you also part of the Yatagarasu? As I said to you earlier, Kate, I'm truly sorry. I wanted nothing but a peaceful life for you. Uncle Bad? Hey, don't take it so seriously. It's all just one big joke, right? Unfortunately, it isn't. Oh, come on, sir. She's just yanking on my chain. Isn't she, Mr. Edgeworth? Detective Bad. Wait, you're no longer a detective. Mr. Bad, I'd like to ask you about the Yatagarasu. Not you too, Mr. Edgeworth. Mr. Edgeworth. Here, I should give these back to you. These are pages from my KG-8 case files that the Yatagarasu stole from my office. Ah, so this was... Wait, what? Mr. Edgeworth, I must apologize for last night. Oh. That was him who broke it. So the Yatagarasu who stole into my room was you, was it? Wait, then that means... What? Tell me it's not true. That's too insane for me to believe, sir. It's true. Even if it's not something you want to hear. The KG-8 incident. It was a very emotionally trying case. We stood in that courtroom. Faraday is the prosecutor, and I is the lead detective. Faraday had evidence in his possession that would prove the defendant guilty. However, because it was stolen, the defendant was found innocent. You was the elder sister of the victim in the case. When the defendant was pronounced not guilty, she let out a great wail. That's when we realized there was a limit to what the law could do. The only way to bring someone like that to justice was to do so outside of the courts. That's what we thought at the time. So that's how we formed the Yatagarasu. But if she was a mole for the smuggling operation the entire time, still lots of unanswered questions. And we vowed to bring to light any dirty dealings companies had with the ring, including companies that dealt with the Amano Group, Mr. Amano's conglomerate. We called ourselves the Yatagarasu, flexed our collective muscle. We exposed all sorts of shady dealings as a warning to the business world as a whole. By doing that, we were able to stop the higher-ups from covering things up. And then, it was finally time. We had finally arrived at the moment when we'd find out the ringleader's true identity. It was then that you literally stabbed us in the heart. And Faraday. He died for it. But why? Wasn't she the sister of the victim in the KG-8 incident? After Faraday's death, I looked into her past. And that's when I found out that she was a phony. The victim of the KG-8 incident, CCU. She never had a sister. Ah. What? Then that means... Sheena wasn't the only fake name she used. Callisto U was also another pseudonym. From the very beginning, that woman was a spy sent by the smuggling ring. She said it herself. I was destined to betray everyone from the very beginning. Anyway, let's return to the real topic at hand. Mr. Edgeworth, this trump card that we stuck onto this page of the case file. Please use it wisely. Trump card. That photo that we stuck on there, try peeling it off. Behind it slumbers a piece of evidence that Faraday hid away all these years ago. It's the mark of the Yatagarasu, but why? This is a directives card from the big boss. Take a look at the back. This was something Kogan had on him at the time of the KG8 incident, 10 years ago. That blood is from the victim of the incident, Ms. Ccu. But why is the card adorned with the mark of the Yatagarasu? The reason why we called ourselves the Yatagarasu was because of the three-legged raven mark that the smuggling ring's boss used. So they used the same mark. Apparently orders from the boss would come on these cards without fail. The person who received the order was supposed to burn it immediately after reading it. And apparently it burns a bright green flame when set ablaze. So it was made with the same ink. Seeming the cards were written in Bobbly's ink. The fact that the card that Koken was sent made it into Faraday's hand at all is nothing short of a miracle. We decided that whenever we stole anything, we would send a card along with it to the police. So that's what those white cards are, with the colors inverted. The great thief that used the mark, that only those within the ring would know. It was our message to the ringleader that we were only a few steps behind. And one more thing, Detective Gumshoe. I'm entrusting this to you. What, your lollipop? What's this, sir? Were they... What year did this game come out? They're still using VHS tapes? This is what I was talking about earlier. During the KG8 incident trial, Faraday had this in his possession. This important definitive piece of evidence. But I thought it was stolen. How do you have it? The person who stole it from us 10 years ago was a man by the name of Ernest Amano. Oh, him! And he had it locked and hidden away for all this time. But we forced him to tell us where it was finally, after the other day's kidnapping case. I see. And I guess that was decisive evidence against Koken. This video. Don't come any closer, I'm warning you! Yeah, him, the pert back from Trial 1. This is the same video as the one Mr. Portsman was trying to conceal from me. Is he part of that... Is he also part of the smuggling ring? Yeah, it would seem that even he was caught up in the ring's web. Amano was preparing to take on the boss someday. And the video is his insurance. That's where that prosecutor comes in. He was to retrieve the video. On top of that, he was apparently instructed to sneak into your office and steal the trump card. You saw it for yourself, right? The card that told him to preserve the evidence. Then that card wasn't the calling card of the Yatagarasu, but rather a directives card from the ringleader to Mr. Portsman. The two pieces together make for a strong weapon for whoever holds them. The evidence Mr. Portsman thought to withhold from me, and the one you stole from my office last night. Both pieces are illegal, and for me to use either one is... whether you use them or not is up to you. But they will be of help to you when you take on someone who's above the law. Is the boss one of those who can't be brought to court that Mr. Faraday spoke of? Detective Bad? There's no limit to the law, for it's the people who determine the limits to them. You still insist that, even now. You really are something else. I'll leave the rest in your hands. Now then, Detective Gumshoe, the handcuffs. It's time to lock up the last remaining member of the Yatagarasu. Hobbs! Don't ever lose your detective spirit. Hobbs, why is this happening? This isn't justice! Like I always told you, don't get emotionally involved. Now let's go. Yes, sir. Is this really the end of a legend? Oh, finally! That went on a bit longer than I thought. Absolutely. Alright. Well, that all happened. So, give me a few minutes then, and, said we'll pick up in a few minutes. Alright. We are back, and lots of juicy stuff happened in the last... previously. Finding out that Sheena is in fact Callisto Yu, or rather a woman who goes by a multitude of names and faces. She's a mole for the smuggling ring. The Yatagarasu was actually 3 different people: her, Faraday, and Detective Bad. But apparently she was sent as a mole on behalf of the smuggling ring. But apparently she is not the killer in this case. That person and the actual mastermind behind the smuggling ring are still at large, so this case is not closed yet. So now we know who the Yatagarasu really was. And yet there remains much to this case that needs to be resolved. Like how the weapons crossed country lines, for example. The 2 countries have incredibly strict security systems and entry procedures. Short of a miracle, it's impossible for someone to have smuggled them in. Smuggling them in, huh? Well, what a coincidence. We're talking about a major smuggling organization. We'll need to open a new line of investigation on just this aspect alone. But before we do, I'd like to go through my evidence once more. Unnecessary evidence has been removed. Remaining evidence has been rearranged. Hey, there's a VCR here, sir. Now we can see what's on that tape Detective Bad gave us. This piece of evidence from the KG-8 incident, hidden from sight for 10 long years. I just know that this is related to the current case somehow. Detective Gumshoe, if you could please play that tape for us. Sure thing, sir. Yes, this was apparently the damning evidence against Koken that was stolen. This man is Manny Koken. And he's holding a knife in his hand. This looks like footage from a security camera at the entrance of an apartment building. An apartment building? How do you figure that? Unlike you, I actually read the summary file in the KG-8 incident. The crime scene was the victim's own apartment. So this footage was shot at the entrance to the victim's own apartment building. And it shows him coming in with a knife, apparently. What's that? Oh, that other thing he's holding, that's the Yatagarasu card, isn't it? Or rather the one that the card that the smugglers were using. At the trial, Mr. Faraday claimed that this piece of footage existed. However, no one could find it. Yeah, somehow someone was able to steal it and hide it through Mr. Ernest Amano. I can see how this would have been a definitive piece, and why someone would want to hide it. Yeah, apparently... I guess, Amano wanted to use it as leverage, possibly blackmail. But it's a piece of evidence from a 10-year-old case. There's no way it's related to this case we're working on now, sir. Knowing this series, I'm sure it is. Actually, I believe it has everything to do with the case we're working on now. The ringleader even went so far as to use Mr. Portsman to retrieve it. Which means that in this video lies a very inconvenient bit of footage for the ringleader. Where? Where? Wait, what was that? Huh? That bit you played just now. Please show it to me again. Huh? There's a car. I'm guessing it's an embassy car, 'cause it's got those little flags on it. This car. This is something we can't overlook. Why is that, sir? Look here, detective.
Take that!
This is the national flag of the Principality of Codopia. And because it has the national flag on it, we know this to be an official government car. The question we should be asking ourselves is, what was a government car doing here? Ah, Miss Von Karma and Mr. Edgeworth, so you were here all this time. Ambassador Alba? Thank you very much for continuing the investigation, even at this time of night. If only I was even a tiny bit more careful. This tragedy would never have happened. I'm truly sorry. This wasn't your fault, sir. This had nothing to do with how careful you were. You idiot, Quercus! You couldn't chase after a simple thief! Now then, let's get down to the real reason why I came looking for the two of you. I would like you to put the investigation on hold for a while. Can you do that? Why is that? I'm sure it's somebody... It's gotta be someone else at the embassy here. And right now I'm starting to think maybe you might be a little sussy. I heard you apprehended the thief that turned this embassy upside down. And we're in the middle of an event celebrating our country's reconciliation. We can't exactly have the police and detectives walking around here forever. You're scaring the visitors away, so I hope that you can understand how I feel. But we must finish our investigation and resolve the remaining issues. Why don't we leave the rest to the Alabastian and Babalese police? Ambassador, we are so close. Just a little more and... Ms. Von Karma, I'm afraid I've made up my mind. And without my permission, you cannot proceed with your investigation anyway, right? That's true. However... As he said at the very beginning, this area can be considered to be Alabastian soil. In which case, we're nothing but foreigners in their land. Is this really where our investigation ends? Shifu, we found Mr. Edgeworth, sir. Oh, Lang's here. Yo! How's the leg? Agent Lang. You're back on the scene rather quickly. Yeah, for being shot. If I laid back and took a break, I'd lose the scent of my prey, Mr. Prosecutor. Agent Lang, why have you returned? Because I have to solve this case no matter what. Well, I'm sorry to inform you. Oh, and don't take this the wrong way. I don't suspect you personally. However, a member of Interpol was just found to be a thief, and so... Under these circumstances, I wish to put your investigation on hold. After all, I believe our own police can handle things from here. They're quite capable. At this rate, our investigation really will come to a close. Ambassador Alba, I get it now. I really do. Oh, I'm very glad you understand how I feel. No, not that. What I was talking about is... I know who the killer is behind tonight's murder. You do? You know? The... killer? Do you really mean that, Agent Lang? Wolves don't lie. Then who is it? Let me first say that I'm not talking about Mr. Koken's murder. That was all Sheena. Lang Zi says the truth lies not at the exit, but rather shines outside the maze itself. The truth is unexpectedly simple. So let me ask you this. Who do you think was the Mask 2's killer? I'll tell you who. It was you, Franziska von Karma. What? No, it wasn't Francie. I was the killer? Hey, wait, but that's impossible. Yeah. Although that whip is actually quite... Hold your tongue and that ludicrous remark you were about to make. Agent Lang, are you seriously accusing her of murder? Yeah, I am. He doesn't appear to be joking. Hey, sis. I remember that just before Ambassador Alba went to give his speech, he called you into his office, right? Yes, he did. But what does that have to do with anything? I'm getting to that. Furthermore, in order to solve both cases, you moved around rather freely between Alabast and Babal, did you not?
Objection!
And where's your evidence that I'm the killer?
Knuckle back.
I was just getting to that. Trust me, I'll show them to you in due time. Ambassador Alba, in order for me to bring this case to a close, I'll need to inspect your office one more time. Will you grant me that permission? With things as they are, I suppose I don't have much of a choice, do I? Good, then let's move out. Oh, and don't even think about running away, sis. My pack will be keeping a close eye on you. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. As if I would have any reason to flee. But just so we're clear, your logic had better be sound. Because I'll accept nothing short of a perfect explanation. She seems rather upset, not that I blame her. I expected that you'd accept no less. But we'll see how long you can keep that nose of yours stuck up in the air like that.
Hold it.
Agent Lang, as someone related to tonight's case, I request that you allow me to take part. And so that I may clean up my superior's mess. Ooh. Ooh, that was a little jab. I guess I should. The more the merrier, especially when it's the peanut gallery. Ooh, in that case, I want to join in too. I still haven't seen what it looks like in Alabast yet. If you like Kayan, then you gotta let me in too, pal. I can't sit around and do nothing when Ms. Von Karma's in trouble. Hey, Gummy, let's have a competition to see who can save her first, okay? Okay, I'll take you up on that. Oh yeah, I'm fired up and rare to go. As a detective, I don't believe this is something you're supposed to be excited over. Sounds like this is gonna get real interesting. Ambassador Alba, I'll be bringing those kids along for the ride. Very well. But I'd like you to keep in mind that this will be your last chance. I'll have this whole mess cleaned up before you know it. Now let's go. Well then, we didn't leave the tape in there, did we? I hope not. Okay, now let's first go over the facts one more time. Manny Koken's body was found over in the Secretariat's office in Babal. The weapon that took his life was one of Alabast's ornamental knives. Then the body of Damask II, Mr. Kashino, was found here in the Alabastian ambassador's office. Through our investigation, we found out that the murder weapon was this Primadex statue. And that this is actually Babal's statue. This case, no matter how I look at it... Sis, if it wasn't you, then there's no one else who could have pulled this off.
Objection!
Agent Lang, you understand the full implications of what you're saying? Of course I do, sis, and I'm serious. You were on the trail of the smuggling ring, and you wanted any evidence you could find. So, while people were distracted by the Yatagarazu's appearance, you snuck in here. That's when you two ran into each other. You and that other thief who took advantage of the confusion from the fire.
Objection!
Even if all that were true, how do you explain the movement of the weapons? Don't worry. I plan to show that you're the culprit behind that, too. You had permission to investigate both embassies at will. With that kind of free reign, you could have easily taken the weapons across... Hey, now! Look, sis. Thought I already told you, I'm not messing around here. Ugh. This case isn't directly tied to the smuggling ring. But Sheena certainly is tied to the smuggling ring. He is right in saying that she's a member of the smuggling ring. However, the connection between this case and the ring, could it not be deeper than what any of us could imagine? Let's get this ridiculous circus over with already. Francisca, you need to calm down. Because you only know the facts of the Alabastian side of the case. I don't believe you can see the case as a whole, and therefore solve it. What? But don't worry, I'm taking this seriously as well, and I will prove your innocence. That's the only way to be, Mr. Prosecutor. But can you come up with anything else that can top my hypothesis? Of course, your explanation has to solve the mystery of the moving weapons as well. Of course, and I will. Let us now delve into the truth behind the murder of Damask II. You understand, don't you? This isn't just a confrontation against Agent Lang. If you can't figure out how the murder of Damask II is related to the smuggling ring, then it will mean the end of our investigation. As long as I have no good counter-argument to his hypothesis, then the best I can do is walk this thin tightrope and see what I can do. Come on, Mr. Prosecutor, let's get started. Yes, let's. Okay, let's dance. One of Alabast's knives was used in Babal to murder Mr. Koken. And the murder weapon in the killing of Damask II is Babal's Primadex statue. Somehow these two objects were able to penetrate the two countries' impenetrable security. The only one who traversed the two countries just before and after the crimes was you. So as long as I can't explain how the weapons moved about, Francisco will remain a suspect. You got it, Mr. Prosecutor. So why don't you stop giving me a hard time? Under these circumstances, who the heck can carry a weapon across country lines? How'd she smuggle the statues, though? I've worked through every possibility, but there's only one that's plausible. Your boss. Agent Lang, what I've learned from you just now is that you've lost sight of yourself. What are you talking about? By focusing too intently on that which is in front of us, we become blind to the truth. Don't tell me Lang Z never said anything to that effect. You prosecutor. Who do you think you are speaking about Lang Z's proverbs like that? I don't need his proverbs. Because my words are all you'll need to see the truth. Was Francisca really the only person to have traveled between the two countries? According to the guards at both doors, she's the only one to go back and forth. But what about that? What about the photo of the... What about this, then? The cyst there was an alabas from the Yatagrasu showed. And then, just before you guys found Mr. Koken's body, she entered Babal. I think we can assume that's when she brought the knife into Babal. Then how do you explain the Primadex statue? I haven't quite figured that out yet. However, the fact that the two weapons crossed the border proves that the killer must have also traveled across the country lines. The only things to cross the border are the Primadex statue and the knife. I should hardly think that those are the only two items, Agent Lang. Because the statue, if the statues were switched, then both of them would have had to, right? Those. Agent Lang, those two items are not the only two to cross the border tonight. Oh? Damask 2 was killed with Babal's Primadex statue, yes? But if that's the case, then tell me, where did Alabast's Primadex statue go? To Babal. Precisely. And if the two statues really were switched, then this means that both statues were smuggled across the border at some point. Which means that a total of 3 items were smuggled across the embassies. And it's kind of hard to conceal a big-ass statue like that, much less 2 of them. I guess so, but you know what? It doesn't matter the number of items, only that the sis is the only one who could have done it. Because the only person who went back and forth between Alabast and Babal is her. Is that really true? Was there no one else who traveled between the two countries. Actually, there was definitely another person. One who paid a visit to both sides of the wall.
Objection!
Is that really so, Agent Lang? What a lousy time to try and bluff your way out of this. I checked out what the guards said, along with the security camera's footage. You're not going to overturn my hypothesis that easily.
Objection!
But suppose there was some other way, other than through the theater doors. What other way? The other entity that managed to cross the border unharmed. If I pointed out, it would open up a whole new possibility. And though I hesitate to bring this out, as long as this entity exists, the impossible road becomes a possibility. Looks like you got some clever idea in mind. I do, and I can show it to you through a single piece of evidence. Fine, then. Let's see this piece of evidence that will show me this other route. This piece of evidence will show us another way to move between the two countries. Is that where this is going to come into play?
Take that!
Agent Lang, I'm sure you're familiar with this unforgettable photo. That supernatural photo, like I said before. Humans can't fly. No, of course not. I understand that perfectly well. And don't start claiming that Sheena somehow grew wings either. I wouldn't dream of claiming that. And I won't allow you to take back what you said either. I'll say it again, it's not humanly possible to fly through the air without wings. So you better have a good explanation for this, Mr. Prosecutor. But how can I prove who it was that flew through the air in this photo? Wait, not humanly possible. Eureka. Very well. You'll have your explanation. Sounds like you have a good idea shimmering inside that head of yours. Let's hear it. The face hidden within this photo's blurry, trailed shadow is... possibly this was how... Maybe this was how the statues were transported.
Take that!
Naturally, the shadow is the third smuggled object, the Primatic statue replica. You can't be serious. The Yatagrasu, or rather Callisto Yu, dressed as Agent Sheena, was inside Babal. She dressed the replica statue up in clothes and launched it through the air. Mr. Prosecutor! You left out a very crucial bit in your explanation. I know I did. She launched it through the air? And how exactly did she do that? He is literally baring his fangs at me. But he has a point. How exactly did it move through the air like that? There was that wire that we found. Was that used as kind of like a zip line? Ropeway murder again? As long as this remains unsolved, we won't be able to move any closer to the truth. Which reminds me, didn't he say this earlier? Just before Ambassador Alba went to give his speech, he called you into his office, right? So just before the murder, Francisca was called here, right into this very room. If that's the case, that may be another avenue I can pursue. Agent Lang, in order for me to answer that question, I'll need to hear testimony from Ms. Von Karma. Oh? What are you up to now, pretty boy? Earlier, you mentioned something of interest to me. You said that just before the murder occurred, Ms. Von Karma had been in this room because Ambassador Alba had called for her. And for that reason alone, you believe her to be the killer. Yeah, I guess I did say something like that. In that case, I believe it's my duty to ask her what her side of the story is. Do you really think a criminal would tell us the honest truth? How dare you! As I've said numerous times, there's absolutely no proof that I'm the killer. Miles Edgeworth, don't tell me you suspect me too. I don't. However, I can't ignore the fact that you were in this room at one point in time. Which is why I would like to hear about your movements in this room. Ugh. Francisca, I feel that I still don't have enough information. Which is why your testimony is incredibly important to the outcome of this case. Alright. So, what would you like me to talk about? I'd like you to please testify to your movements in this room until the murder occurred. Alright, let's try this your way for a change. But if what she has to say turns out to be a waste of time, I'll place her under arrest faster than you could howl no! As you wish. As I said earlier, I was assigned to guard duty in the Alabastian Embassy. After I saw the Steel Samurai off on his way toward the ambassador's office, I returned to the Rose Garden for a bit and checked up on the security situation. After all the preparations were in place, I was called back to Ambassador Alba to his office. Francisca, I want us to make this clear from the very beginning. So what I wish to confirm is that the only time span in which you were in this office was before the murder occurred. Is that correct? Yes, of course. I see. For now, the only way that I can see for us to break out of this situation is to ask Francisca about her testimony in more detail. Yes, and for that, assign a guard duty. Yeah. Yeah, why don't you elaborate on this part?
Hold it!
At that time, Damask II's body had yet to be found in this room, is that correct? That's right. But Ambassador Alba was here. One could hardly miss his rather large presence. So he could be the killer too. A criminal will say anything to get out of getting arrested. How do we know you're not lying? In fact, if Alba is the leader, that means he and you could have been working together. Well, if you need proof, I'd be happy to oblige you. Seriously? Like I keep telling you. When I arrived at this office, Ambassador Alba was already here. He was standing by the flower box on the windowsill, watering his plants. I can attest to that. I remember speaking with the lovely lady around that time here in my office. I remember the flowers that we found. Alright then, add that statement to your testimony. Let's hear some details. So Ambassador Alba was in this room at the time, was he?
Hold it!
For the sake of being thorough, I'd like to ask you something. How did you know that Ambassador Alba was watering his plants here at the windowsill? What do you mean by that? The entrance to this room is on this side, however, the window's on the opposite side. If what you say is true, then when you entered the room, his body would have been like a wall. He would have been blocking your view of what he was doing. Isn't that not correct? I suppose it was a bit hard to see around him. But fortunately for me, Ambassador Alba is not an immovable wall. I knocked before I entered, and as I did, he turned around to greet me, with a watering can in his hand. So it's only natural to believe he was watering his plants, right? I suppose. After his greeting, we spent a little time talking about his flowers. He had obtained them himself, and is growing them with the utmost care, you know. Yes, the plants in this room, they're all like my children. The passion flowers in the flower box on the windowsill are growing beautifully, too. All 4 of them are in full bloom. 4? Wait. There's only 2 of them. What? When we saw them, what happened to the other 2? Miss Von Karma, what did you say just now? I said that the flowers are growing beautifully. What about that statement do you not understand? What do I not understand? I do not understand why a certain thing is the way it is. I'd like for you to append that statement to your testimony. Very well. Okay, so what's the meaning of this? Why are there only 2 of them now?
Objection!
Francisca, for some odd reason, your testimony contradicts with this piece of evidence. It does appear that way. I knew it. I knew we couldn't trust your words, sis. Mr. Edgeworth, what are you doing discrediting Ms. Von Karma like this? Yeah, sir. If you keep this up, she's gonna get taken away, sir. Why would... If she's the killer, why would she lie about some flowers, though? All I've done is state what I saw. I've made not a single mistake in my testimony. And for this, I'm still under suspicion for murder. Is the number of flowers really all that important at this juncture, Miles? At the very least, it's a contradiction in this enigmatic case. One that I find hard to dismiss as irrelevant. And let's hear it, Mr. Prosecutor. What does the number of flowers have to do with anything? What does it prove? I believe the answer to that will become clear if we were to examine that flower box. How did this contradiction come about? There must be something behind this discrepancy. They're my beloved flowers. I've grown them with the utmost care. So I ask that you please be gentle with them as you examine them, Mr. Edgeworth. I understand. of these flowers. I believe they were called passion flowers. Despite being called flowers, they're actually a species of vine. They appear to be growing well and are well supported by these plant supports. Yeah, but no matter how I look at it, it looks like there are only 2 here to me. You realize, don't you, sis? Your little lie has failed you. Mindless Edgeworth, hurry up and shut this man up for me already. I suppose I'll need to use some evidence to shut him up, won't I? So it's a vine that's being supported by a couple of sticks, huh? I believe I have just the piece of evidence you require. Ah, you do you? You have such confidence in the face of your current plight. But I highly doubt it'll last until the end. You howl like a wolf, Agent Lang. But we'll see if you have any bite to back up that bark after you see the evidence. The truth the passion flowers reveal can be seen in this piece of evidence. Yeah, they do. They look the same. And as we pointed out... Hey, take a look at this, Mr. Edgeworth. There's dirt on here. It's totally ruining the beauty of the hair stick, I suppose. Why is there dirt stuck on the end of a hair stick in the first place? Yeah, these came from that flower box.
Take that!
Sheena, who was supposedly in Babal the entire time, had these hair sticks on her that look exactly like the plant supports in this flower box. In other words, I believe it can be said that these hair sticks are in actuality support sticks for the passion flowers. So what? Is this really all that important to the case? Of course it is. It means that we found yet another item that was smuggled between the countries tonight. Ugh! Think about it logically, Agent Lang. These sticks were originally in Alabast, but somehow they wound up in Sheena's hands, who was in Babal the whole night. So make no mistake, these sticks were smuggled somehow, just like the knife and the statue. Ugh! Very well then. I want to hear from you exactly how they wound up in Babal. How did these support sticks find their way into Babal, and why? There must be some reason as to why they ended up there. So that's why. Agent Lang, if you please take a look at this and tell me its shape. That's just another stick, isn't it? And so it is. But the shape of the support sticks is what's important. For when they're used with something in this room, that's when it all comes into focus. And the object that completes the picture when used with the support sticks is a ceiling fan, there's a sword, crossbow, knives, the spear. They could be fired with the crossbow, couldn't they? That's a crossbow. Wait, you're not really suggesting... I am. These hair sticks, or rather plant support sticks, they make for perfect arrows. Ugh! I've done it. I found the common thread that connects the two offices. But this thread has yet to be completely untangled. Even using the arrows, how does this explain how the statues were transported? Furthermore, who could it have been who fired these sticks as arrows? There must be a common thread that ties all of these things together.
Knuckle back.
Mr. Prosecutor, hold up a second. You do realize what happens when you tie a statue to an arrow, right? Yeah, crossbow isn't going to shoot that across. They don't fly at all. I mean, you make it... I mean, true, but... So Babal's statue is draped in the Yatagarasu's clothes, then shot over here? Even if you fire the arrows from this side, they wouldn't go far with a statue tied to them. I don't think I need to tell you that the Primadex statues don't sprout wings. You are a realist after all, aren't you? The Primadex statues didn't sprout wings. Of course they didn't. Glad you understand. I feel much better already. I was afraid for a second that you were unaware of that crucial fact. It's only crucial because you're under the belief that wings are necessary to this equation. What? You need to free your mind a bit more and let it fly like a bird on the wind. The Primadex statues flew, but not on a wing. Allow me a bit of your time and I'll explain this mysterious phenomenon to you. Fired the arrows on the side, they wouldn't go far with a statue tied to them. What if it wasn't the statue they were meant to shoot? But we're in agreement that an arrow by itself would reach the other side, correct? But just the arrow by itself is pretty meaningless, don't you think, Mr. Prosecutor? Because the things they wanted to smuggle were a lot bigger than nothing. No, that's not necessarily true. What? What I need right now is not further discussion of my conclusions. It's the launching of my... It's further discussion of my conclusions. It's the launching of my conclusions. What the shooter wanted to launch with a crossbow wasn't the statues themselves, but rather something a crossbow can launch that can be used to move the statues. If it wasn't a statue that was tied to the arrows, what did the crossbow launch? I'll bet it was that wire.
Objection.
Finally we've reached this point in our discussion. For I present to you that which was carried by the arrow from the crossbow. I get it now, Mr. Prosecutor. I can see exactly what you're trying to say. You're saying the wire was tied to an arrow and then shot into Mr. Kogan's office. All the way from the 5th floor of the Alabastian Embassy down to the 3rd floor of the Bobolese Embassy. And again, they use that as a zip line to carry the statue down. If what you're claiming is really what happened, I can see how Alabast's Primadex statue could be moved. Gravity could be used to move the statue down the wire from the 5th to the 3rd floor. But then what about Babal's Primadex statue? Yeah, that doesn't explain how it was moved. The dark shadow in this photo is clearly flying away from Babal. Going the opposite way of gravity, from the 3rd floor of the Babalese embassy up to the 5th floor of the Alabastian embassy. How do you explain that? I think I finally see how the gears behind this whole trick works. Agent Lang, the motion used behind this trick. I wonder if you have yet to envision how it works in your head. Motion? What motion? Rotary motion, swinging motion, or bungee action? Well, I don't think it was either of these two. I believe it was done via rotary motion. If the two statues were transported simultaneously... Simultaneously? Get real. The statues would collide somewhere along the way. Did I ever say there was only one line of wire between the two offices? If you shot an arrow with the two ends of a wire tied to it, a circular belt can be formed. Huh. This is a hell of a trick that was pulled off. Lang Z says, don't object and call a success what is beyond reasonability. Taking into account the tension difference between the two wires, the top one would sag too much to the point where the statues would collide anyway. Agent Lang, as you know, the Pramaduk statue is a one-of-a-kind national treasure. And the fact that Babal's statue is a hollow replica of the real statue. It would naturally be lighter than the real one, being that my idea is very possible. Lang Z says... Here's what I believe happened. Ms. Yu and her mystery co-conspirator set themselves up in the two different rooms. The co-conspirator bridged the rooms by shooting the two ends of the wire down on one arrow. Then the two of them covered the statues and proceeded to transport the statues. After the switch was completed, another arrow was fired, carrying the other end of the wire down to Babal, where it was to be disposed of. And to do that, Ms. Yu hid it inside the grandfather clock. QED. This proves it, right, Agent Lang? That I'm not the killer. Not yet, sis. Still haven't had my dessert yet. Right, Mr. Prosecutor? The proof is in the pudding, as it were. Pudding is a nice dessert. So, you think you can do it? Can you prove that what you said is what happened? Because remember, if you can't, I'll be taking a certain someone back home with me as a souvenir. Oh my. I agree that as long as there's no proof, my hypothesis remains just that. However, what I've laid out is no mere hypothesis, for there's one more piece of evidence. One more? This should be interesting. You think you have a piece of evidence that'll turn your hypothesis into fact? Well then, let's see it, Mr. Prosecutor. The thing that made it possible to create a circular belt out of a length of wire. Alright, I think, we'll take one more refreshing pause, so give me a moment. I'll be back in a few. Alright. So we're working out this very, very intricate setup we have here. Thing that made it possible to create a circular belt out of a length of wire. I believe it's right here in this very room. I believe this is what made the circular belt transportation method possible. If it was used as a pulley system, the only thing I'm seeing that would make any sense is the ceiling fan. Would it have been able to support two statues, though?
Take that!
Looks like you dropped another bomb on us again. The last piece to the trick are two pulleys. Precisely. The ceiling fans double as pulleys in this case. And thanks to the fact that there's one installed in each of the offices, the ceiling fans made for the perfect pulley set for the wire to run on. Ugh! Ah! This must be it. This is how the smugglers bypass the impenetrable security. You really are something else, Mr. Prosecutor. How about you figured it all out already, haven't you? You know who the big hotshot that set up this real-life stage show is, don't you? The person who set up this rather large and complex stage show needs to be someone who had foreknowledge of the existence of a ceiling fan in both the Alabastian and Bob Lee's offices. And that the passion flower's support stakes can be used as arrows. The real mastermind behind this case. Well, don't you dare make this wolf wait for his food. Why are you so hesitant, Miles Edgeworth? If you can't say who it is, why don't you present something like you always do? A single point of the finger here, in this case, will explode into an international incident. Yep, I think we know who it is. However, it's already too late for me to stop the forward momentum. It appears I have no choice now, but to rush in. There's a piece of evidence who will point us to who the mysterious mastermind is.
Take that!
The smuggling could not have been possible without the use of the crossbow. Furthermore, the arrows that were shot by the crossbow were plucked, as it were, from the flower box in this very room. They were planted so long ago that the passion flowers had the time to grow so big that Ms. Von Karma didn't even notice the arrows when she visited this room today. On top of all of this, the fact that the culprit knew that both offices had ceiling fans tells us the person had very detailed information on the embassy's layout. So, as you may have already guessed, the person I'm accusing of hatching this plan is the person who grew the flowers in the flower box with the utmost care. Thus, it can only be you, Quercus Alba. And here we go. Are you out of your mind, Miles Edgeworth? I'm certain of what I'm saying, and I'm sure that he's the culprit. Tell me, Mr. Prosecutor, what was the ambassador trying to accomplish by doing all that stuff you just outlined? Why in the world would he need to use a trick like that? I understand your need to doubt me. However, there's one thing that stands out to me as very odd. Just one thing, huh? The one single end result Ambassador Alba sought to obtain. If we were to examine the focus of this complex trick, I believe we'll finally find the answer to everything. Everything will become clear once we examine this piece of evidence. Was it getting one of the...
Take that!
The heck? I would fully understand the reasoning had the situation been the reverse. However, to go through the trouble of swapping the real Primadex statue for the fake, I sense a very shady reason for such a bizarre action. Yeah, that's what I thought. Why swap the statues in the first place, especially if Alabast had the real one in the first place? And who better to ask for that reason than King Primadux himself? Let's see. Ambassador, we'll be examining that statue now, with or without your permission. Lots of ellipses. Oh, we can examine the crotch? With his sword drawn like that, there's an aura of valor and bravery around King Primadux. He looks so cool standing like that with the sword stuck in the ground in front of him. Maybe I should try and come up with some cool pose with a shuriken or something. I'm seriously beginning to think that her real goal in life is to become a ninja. Hey, Mr. Prosecutor, there isn't anything particularly odd about this sword, right? No, not really. I sense we should examine a different area of the statue now. This guy kinda looks like the Steel Samurai, don't you think? Maybe it's because they look alike that he was picked to be the Goodwill Ambassador. I suppose that's possible. Take a look at this area around the base of his neck. Looks like a gap. Hey, you're right. Maybe it's meant to be some kind of secret. Perhaps it's possible to open the statue from the gap in its construction. It opens up? What? Hurry up and open it, Miles. Alright, here goes. Wow, it really did open up. What's that? Hey, what's this thing that fell out? I believe a more thorough examination of it's required. What in the... is this? Gold ticket? Hey, is this what I think it is? It's a plate for making counterfeit bills. Oh, that's where the... so that's where the counterfeit plates were hidden. Somehow, it appears that we've at long last arrived at the exit to this complex labyrinth. We finally hold within our hands one of the counterfeit money plates, and the reason why the replica was smuggled into Alabast to begin with. The Primitic statue can only be handled by the ambassador or the secretariat. And the replica is nothing more than a hollow shell covered in gold. These two circumstances make the statue the ideal object in which to hide contraband. After receiving the statue containing the counterfeit plate from Sheena, the ambassador had the misfortune of accidentally running into Damask II. Surprised by the thief, the ambassador raised the replica statue to Damask II and then, in order to frame the steel samurai of the murder, he covered the samurai's sword in blood. What about the note that he was holding again? I want to take a look at that again. That was... Didn't they say that was Koken's handwriting? You're the leader of the smuggling ring? My country's a mess, and it's all because of you? You're the one who killed Damask II? Answer us. I never thought that you would figure things out to this level. Is he admitting it already? Without putting up a fight at all? Really? However, there's one point I disagree with you on. The head of the smuggling ring was Mr. Koken.
Not so fast!
Quit screwing around. I have no sympathy for someone who would try to pass the guild on to a dead man. If there's one thing I'm sure of, it's that you're the real ringleader, Quercus Alba. It's not good to speak with such subjectivity, you know, Agent Lang. Subjectivity? My conclusion's anything but. It is the result of logic and investigation. Logic and investigation? Only seconds ago, you were ready to arrest Ms. Von Karma. I don't think we can give such flip-floppy logic any real weight, do you? He's got a point there. What's so funny? Looks like you still don't get why I came back. Excuse me? You see, the reason I came back is so I could sink my fangs into your wrinkly old neck. Oh! For realsies? Was his accusation of Francie just a cover? From the very beginning, my real target's been you. What? Agent Lang, I demand an explanation. Sorry, sis, I didn't mean to put you through all that. I knew you were innocent from the very beginning. did? I knew this whole incident had been meticulously planned and prepared for. So naturally, the occupant of this room, Ambassador Alba, seemed the most suspicious. But without the Ambassador's permission, we couldn't get in to take another look around. Ah, haha. Very clever. Ah, so that's why you put on this big show to accuse Francisca of the murder. Using Francisca as the bait, you were able to gain us entry and investigative rights. Yeah, if I hadn't done that, I doubt the Ambassador would have given the okay to poke around. So that's what all this was about. Very well, I will forgive you. But in exchange for using me as bait, you will take some responsibility and help us find the truth. Oh, I thought she was just gonna whip him a bunch. Agent Lang, for giving me such a great opening, I thank you. You know, I just knew, Mr. Prosecutor. Somehow, if we were able to find some proof by investigating this room, that you'd be able to figure out the real culprit with your special brand of logic. The evidence detectives collect, combined with the logic of a prosecutor, that's just as it should be in a prosecutor detective team, right? Or that's just as it should be in a prosecutor detective team, right? I don't know about any of that. But one thing I do know is I'm itching to see that old man get what's coming to him. You're quite scary when you want to be, aren't you? Hey, you were the one who was planning to use me to push all the guild onto the sis. But unfortunately for you, you misjudged me. Agent Lang, I wish for you to stop trying to intimidate me. What we need right now is evidence and proof. I wonder if you have what's necessary to prove that I am the head of the smuggling ring.
Objection!
Don't be such a sore loser. If you really are the head of the smuggling ring, then you should acknowledge your crimes with dignity. Dignity? That's nothing more than a fool's insincere display of strength. If you really wish for me to acknowledge my crimes, then I would like to first see some of this thing you call evidence. I tell you, I knew nothing, really. I didn't even know that a counterfeit plate was hidden inside that statue.
Objection!
You swapped a real statue that vested in your country the authority to rule for a fake? It doesn't make any sense that you didn't know anything. It doesn't make sense? Where doesn't it make sense? Can you prove that it doesn't make sense? What are you getting at? He's really got us. He's turned the entire situation around against us. The proof that Interpol has been after, which points to this man as the ringleader. If we can somehow find that proof now, then we can see to it that justice is finally served. Is there nothing I can use to break this case wide open? The trump card and the videotape. With those two items, we might be able to finally bring this man down. But the card is evidence from a case that Mr. Faraday hid away in secret. And the tape was stolen by Detective Bad from the police. They're both illegal evidence. No matter what, a prosecutor of the law can't be allowed to use such pieces of evidence. Needless to say, we Von Karmas are commanded to achieve nothing but victory, and by any means necessary. The only way to bring someone like that to justice was to do so outside of the courts. That's what we thought at the time. I no longer follow the path of Manfred von Karma. And I won't follow the path of the Yatagarasu. This leaves me with what? What creed will I believe in? If I want to pursue the truth, then I will sully my hands in illegality. And if I want to pursue justice, then I'll lose the truth. Quite the moral dilemma you're faced with, huh, Edgy? What is the law, and what is justice? And which path is a prosecutor supposed to follow? That choice is one I must make by my own hand, here and now. Ooh. There's no limit to the law. Any limit that exists was set there by man. When a person goes beyond that limit, then the law, too, crosses into new territory. For what reason were laws invented? The answer to that is what I must now show. Ambassador Alba, I wonder if you might recognize this. Oh, I wonder what that card is. I've never seen that before in my life. It's a directives card, used by the leader of the ring to relay instructions to his subordinates. Oh, is that what it is? This card was sent to the real culprit behind the KG-8 incident 10 years ago. A man by the name of Mr. Manny Kogan. Oh, so why do you have such a card in your possession? Because it was hand-delivered to me. By a certain great thief, the Yatagarasu. The Yatagarasu gave that to you? Don't talk nonsense, and let's be serious, Mr. Edgeworth. Do you have any proof that the card contains directions from the ringleader? I'll have you know that the card is not the only thing I was given. What? This contains security footage that was shot just before the start of the KG-8 incident. The KG-8 incident? The card and the video. These two pieces of evidence are what will seal your fate. Very interesting. I must admit, I'm very curious now. Very curious indeed in these case-deciding pieces of evidence you presented. The prey the Yatagarasu has been chasing all this time now stands before me. I can't allow this man, who's had free reign for 10 long years, to simply walk away. Now's the time for me to bring to fruition the valiant spirit that was given to me. Okay, we're back in the lobby. So, what is this interesting thing you wanted to show me? The trump card and the videotape. These two pieces of evidence together make for the ultimate hand. And this is where the real meaning behind Detective Bad's words will be realized. Detective Gumshoe? Yes, sir! What you see here is security footage shot just before the KG-8 murder occurred. From this footage, we know that the card is a directives card from the smuggling ring. This is the section that proves the card was used to relay an order.
Take that!
Yeah, he's holding it right here. As you can see, Mr. Koken is holding the card in his right hand. I see. The killer is indeed holding a card with the exact same design on it. But that card and the one you have, just because they look the same doesn't mean that they are, does it now? Ah, but there's a very easy way for me to prove that they are in fact one and the same. All we have to do is simply take a look at this. This dark red blood. Yes, this is your proof. Proof the orders on this card were played out in that terrible tragedy. Yeah, because it was tested and found that was her blood on it. The blood belonged to the victim of the KG-8 incident. With a bit of DNA testing, we can very easily verify that as fact. If you have no objections, then I'd like for you to take a look at this next piece of footage. This car that passed by in front of the victim's apartment building. It's an official Cadopian government car. What? Detective Gumshoe, if you could please magnify the footage. This area of the footage directly links the smuggling ring with Cadopia. I don't know, can we really see anything? Is it this? Is that the card in his pocket there? The shape of this pocket and the directives card in it. It tells us that without a doubt, this person in the car is Mr. Koken. The license plate on the car was also captured by the security camera. And with it, we can easily find out who was sitting in this car on that day, 10 years ago. Which is why I can say with confidence that you were riding in this car on that day. Huh. Oh, what? What? Oh, what the shit? Holy fuck, what is this? You've done well, boy, to make it this far. Oh, damn. However, about your claim that I was riding in the car at that time, damn, still getting over that transformation. That's going to be mighty difficult to prove. How so? The Principality of Codopia no longer exists. So naturally, all records from that time period also no longer exist. That arrogance. What he really means is that he's already erased all traces of them. Are we finished here, boy? The only weapon I have left to me now is this piece of footage. There must be something here I can use against him. The metal that he was just fingering. Isn't that this right here?
Take that!
Yeah. It is. What the? Ambassador Alba? Yes, what is it? You were once an army man in the service of Codopia. And it was you who made the many missions you participated in successes, correct? Why the sudden backhanded praises, boy? Although to be sure, the brilliant medals on my breast were awarded to me during the era of Codopia. But now I'm the only one who owns this particular medal. In that case, the only person it could be who is sitting in this car is you. How do you figure that? By the medal captured here in this footage. It's clearly the same exact medal as the one on your chest. What? Oh God, what? What is going on with you there? This is how it'll be, but I won't look back. For this is the path that I've chosen. Ugh. You've moved me with your devotion to this case, Mr. Edgeworth. Why is he taking such an arrogant stance with me? It's almost looking possible, isn't it? For the lot of you to have come this far. Looks like I just might lose this little game this time. You might lose the game this time. You don't get another round, Mr. Ambassador. Is that a fact? Very well. I've decided to confess and admit my guilt. You're going to confess? And I'll accept whatever punishment that may come as a result. What the? Regarding the Mask 2 murder, I admit it. I did it out of self-defense. You're claiming it was justified self-defense? Mask 2 attacked me, and I felt that my life was in danger. If I hadn't done what I did, I might be the one you found dead instead of him. What a pathetic performance. I am not giving you one. Wow, you two really know how to laugh at inappropriate times. If you wish to claim it was self-defense, then we'll need some evidence. It's always the evidence with you, isn't it? But if that's what you require, I'll provide it. That man left a mark on me when he attacked. What? I don't particularly want to show it off, but this is proof that it wasn't self-defense. Oh. I'm an old man, and sometimes I don't pay enough attention when I should. But Mask 2 didn't have a single weapon on his body. did he inflict it himself then to make us think that he was attacked first? Hold on, it's nothing to get worked up over because I hid the weapon. You hid it? Why would you do that? I'm sorry, but as you know, a murder is a murder, even if it's in self-defense. And I couldn't let it become public, seeing as how I am an ambassador. This is the weapon you seek. My special bonsai trimming shears. Those were his. Those were his. That probably for tending the flowers. Then yeah, I think it is very possible that he used it on himself. Oh, it's covered in blood. He was trembling quite badly during our struggle. But that's when he grabbed the shears that were sitting in my office and attacked. So you see, it was an act of self-defense. Is he right, Mr. Edgeworth? Since he has both the wound and the weapon that caused it, it's enough to declare it so. No way! Oh, which reminds me. I guess there's still one more accusation I need to resolve. Smuggling and counterfeiting. Unfortunately, all of that is my secretary's doing. I had no knowledge it was going on. Stop spewing nonsense. You're trying to throw my investigation under the bus in your desperation. If you want to get real honest, everything in this case can be connected to you. The murder of Damask II is done in self-defense. In my trials, no man escapes his crime alive. Perhaps so, if you were my opponent in court. However, there is one very important fact that I think you may have forgotten. And what is that? That's what you mean. Extraterritoriality. That's right. This embassy sits on what's effectively Alabastian soil. Oh, of course he's gonna claim diplomatic immunity, essentially. So any trial that's to be held will be held in Alabast. Therefore, the crime I just admitted to will never be tried in your courts. Agent Lang, what's Interpol's stance on this? Agents investigate, that's our job. The judgment of people who've confessed to their crime, that's the court's job. Ugh. And I've already confessed to all of my crimes, Agent Lang. Furthermore, by the very nature of my position, I have full extraterritorial rights. These rights are effective, even on your country's soil. Therefore, no matter where a crime may take place, I will never stand trial in one of your courts. That arrogance in your expression. That's nothing like the face of someone who's ready to accept the consequences. Don't tell me you have your own country's judicial system and eating right out of your hands. These crimes you all speak so seriously of. To me, this has all been nothing more than a game. You may chase me out of this embassy with your accusations, but it's no big deal. Alabast has numerous other embassies in other countries around the world. All you'd accomplish is you change the backdrop of our little game. these two layers of protection the extraterritoriality provides him. This is why he's one of those who cannot be brought to court. You see now, don't you? I live in a whole different world than you. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go and fetch your eviction papers. Is there nothing we can do? It appears that remains to be seen. Well then. Quite a turn we have taken, but I think that's going to have to do it for tonight, everybody. So, again, I'm going to be back with this tomorrow. Hopefully, we're going to be able to wrap this one up. So, yeah, have a good night, everybody, and I will see you then.